What's going on, wrestling family? Welcome back to the channel. So we're going to react to WWE records that will never, ever be broken. Now, before we get into this video, if you haven't already, be sure to check out my Night of Champions predictions. It's up right now on my channel. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. And also, if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get into the video.
From the fastest match.
Oh yeah, I remember this. That was shocking.
Youngest wrestler. These are WWE records that'll never be broken. But first, let's talk about a record nobody wants to break. In 2003, WWE signed a wrestler named Steve Chamberlain. Chamberlain sadly lost his right leg in a motorcycle accident, but after years of hard work, everything paid off when he got a WWE contract. However, it turned out to be a mistake. See, WWE did want a one-legged wrestler on their roster, just not Steve Chamberlain. They actually meant to sign Zach Gowen, a wrestler who had also lost his leg. Once WWE realized they had signed the wrong guy, they ended Chamberlain's contract. This gave Steve the unfortunate record of having the shortest WWE career, lasting just 7 days, and he wrestled 0 matches. On the flip side—
Whoa, hold on. Because my brain isn't braining right now, okay? I'm trying to understand. How in the world do you sign the wrong person? Like, I know working a regular 9-to-5 is way different than working for WWE, right? But I would assume that once you get a job, the onboarding process could be kind of similar to WWE. Don't they check social security numbers and state IDs before they sign people on? So if that's the case, how in the world do you sign the wrong one-legged guy? That's crazy. Like, was Vince like, hey, did you pick up that one-legged guy that I ordered? That's the wrong one. Give me the other one. Like, how does this work? That's nuts, bro. That's nuts. And, you know, just thinking about how much that could have done for Steve Chamberlain's, like, life, you know, being on WWE TV, told his whole family he was excited. He's like, I became a WWE wrestler, probably told and inspired a bunch of kids that, you know, were amputees and things like that. And then he just get released like that. That's crazy, man. That is just crazy.
Kane holds the record for wrestling more matches than any WWE wrestler. The Big Red Machine wrestled a whopping 2,824 matches in his entire WWE career. While some wrestlers put in the miles, others make history in just a few seconds. In 2000, Taz wanted a match against Chris Jericho and Jerry Lawler. The Raw commissioner, Mick Foley, agreed and put Taz in a tag team match against Jericho and Lawler. Foley also chose Taz's tag team partner, Mideon, which led to this. Dude got beat in 2 seconds, which set a record for the shortest match in WWE history. On the flip side, over 17 years later, fans witnessed the longest match when Seth Rollins, John Cena, Roman Reigns, Elias, Finn Balor, The Miz, and Braun Strowman faced off in a gauntlet match.
Oh, that match was long, man.
The ultimate winner, all 7 of these men were part of history. From start to finish, this match lasted 1 hour, 46 minutes, and 55 seconds. Making it the longest match in WWE history. Well, that is pretty—
WWE, please do not ever do this again, bro. Dude, this was exhausting. It was. I couldn't imagine being the crowd. I couldn't. That's way too long.
It's not nearly as long as what Roman Reigns did. You see, the head of the table was WWE World Champion for 1,316 days, or about 3.5 years. That's impressive, but he still isn't the longest reigning world champion though. In 1963, Bruno Sammartino defeated Buddy Rogers to become the WWE World Champion. However, it wouldn't be until 1971 that Bruno finally lost it. That gave Sammartino a world title reign of 2,803 days, or 7 years and 9 months. To put that in perspective, the time from Stone Cold Steve Austin's WWE debut to his retirement match at WrestleMania 19 was only 2,660 days. But who holds the record for the shortest world title reign? Well, you would be surprised. In 1988, Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant had a rematch after their iconic WrestleMania 3 match. Hogan was the champion, but thanks to a crooked referee, Andre won and became the new WWE champion. However, in a very unusual move, Andre immediately sold the world title to the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. This meant that Andre the Giant was only world champion for 1 minute and 46 seconds. But that wasn't the only record that was created that night. Hogan and Andre's rematch brought in 33 million viewers, making it the most watched WWE match on TV. But that doesn't mean it's the most watched WWE match. In late 2011, The Rock returned to the ring, teaming up with John Cena in the Great One's first match in over 7 years. The powerhouse duo took on The Miz and R-Truth and sent them packing. With the match now on WWE's YouTube channel, it's been viewed over 250 million times, making it not just the most watched WWE match in history, but the most watched wrestling match of all time. But what about butts and seats? Which wrestling
I'm
show
surprised.
had the highest attendance? Well,
I'm not surprised that it got that many views, but I'm surprised that it's the most watched of all time. Because you would think, like, you know, things from like WrestleMania 17 or just other classic matches, even if it was John Cena versus The Rock at WrestleMania, you would think that those matches would be have a lot more views than The Rock and John Cena tag teaming together. That's really interesting. It really is.
In 1995, New Japan Pro Wrestling and World Championship Wrestling, or WCW, ran a show together in North Korea. Because of a government mandate, the event brought in 165,000 people, making it the biggest wrestling show in history. To put that in perspective, if you added up the attendance for both Night 1 and 2 of WrestleMania 41, you would still be 47,620 fans short.
I ain't gonna hold you. I was at WrestleMania 41. I hate to do this, man, but you might want to shave a couple of those numbers off of there. I just saw some things. I'll just say that.
Of WrestleMania, we all know that The Undertaker holds the record for the longest undefeated streak at the event, with 21 consecutive wins. But who holds the opposite record? Well, from 1996 to 2018, Goldust competed at 12 WrestleManias and never won a single match. The guy couldn't even put Maven away. But talking about the dead man, it's not surprising that the Phenom also holds the record for the longest WWE entrance. At WrestleMania 30, The Undertaker took 7 minutes and 3 seconds to complete his
This dude be walking down the ramp for 3 hours straight, man. Like, how do they allow this to happen? It's crazy. I get it's a part of the aura and the aesthetic of The Undertaker. I got all respect for him for that. But man, dude, like whenever Undertaker was coming out, especially during the tail end of his career, I would just be like, you know what? I'm about to go cook something, eat it, come right back, and hopefully that match will start by that time is over. It was crazy.
Setting an all-time record. To put that in perspective, The Shield had a 6-man tag team match that same night, and it lasted less than 3 minutes. But the real question is, who has the shortest WWE entrance? Well, that record is shared by Paul London and Brian Kendrick. When these guys were a tag team, they entered the ring in under 5 seconds. In fact, they were so quick that sometimes they would actually slide out of the ring.
Here comes another top cruiserweight. Yeah, with a sliding activity.
Whoa.
Now this WWE wrestler holds a pretty weird record. In 1983, Big John Studd took on Andre the Giant. During the match, Studd locked Andre in a headlock, and he held it, and held it, and held it. It started to go on so long that fans thought Andre was never going to get up. In fact, it took 8 minutes and 30 seconds before Andre finally fought out of it.
An 8-minute headlock, bro?
The longest headlock in WWE history. I told you it was weird, but another wrestler...
Bro, if you try to pull that off nowadays, with the wrestling fans now, they will be pissed off. If they paid their hard-earned money to go to like a WrestleMania and to watch a 8-minute headlock, can't imagine. I cannot imagine.
Headlines for something much more costly. Back in 2002, Stone Cold Steve Austin was frustrated with the creative direction WWE was going. This ultimately led to Stone Cold legitimately walking out of the company, and he would be gone for 8 months. Austin did eventually come back, but he probably wished he hadn't. Because of him quitting so abruptly, WWE fined Stone Cold $250 million, the largest fine a WWE wrestler has ever been hit with.
Oh, he had it.
Floyd Mayweather could have helped him out, because at WrestleMania 24, Mayweather made history. Not only did he defeat The Big Show, but Floyd also made bank. Afterward, the boxing legend was paid $20 million. The most money anyone has ever been paid for a single wrestling match. One person who could have used some
that is crazy.
Because the Canadian wrestling legend holds one of the most unique records. A lot of fans know Stu Hart as the father of Bret and Owen Hart, but those weren't the only kids Stu had. In fact, Stu Hart had a total of 12 children, more than any other wrestler.
He was out here thumping thighs, boy. He didn't know what he ain't know what a condom was. That's crazy.
And all with the same woman. That's one record.
Oh, with the same woman.
Stu Hart beat at another.
All right, that's respectable. I'm not saying that people who have other kids with different mothers. I'm not saying that's not respectable, but at least he had the opportunity and the power to kind of go out there and step out of his relationship, right? I'm assuming he was in a monogamous relationship and decided to have multiple kids with the same woman. Wow, that lady had a lot of strength. That's a lot of kids to be popping out.
Nature Boy holds the record for sleeping with the most women.
Oh
You're
my
not gonna
God!
believe
Speaking
me
of
when I
this,
say the number, so I'll let the Nature Boy do the talking.
How many women do you think you've been with?
Realistically, 10,000 maybe.
10,000, bro.
Pull-out game because
Yo,
you
10,000 women. I don't want to know what. I don't want to know what the medical records are like. I don't want to know what type of vitamins, antibiotics he's had to order, bro. You talking about 10,000 women back in the day? Back in the day.
having 4 kids. While I can't confirm it, I'm sure Ric Flair lasted longer than Santino Marella.
He banged. Well, okay, so he thumped thighs with over 10,000 women and only had 4 kids. Hey man. He a professional. I'll just say that.
In 2009, Santino Marella set an unbreakable record when he's eliminated from the Royal Rumble in 2 seconds. But on the other side, who has spent the most time in the Rumble? Well, in 2018, WWE held the greatest Royal Rumble. What made it the greatest was that it had 50 entrants. The first man who entered was Daniel Bryan, and while many men came and went, Bryan stayed in there. In fact, Daniel
Look at his
Bryan
chest.
stayed in the match for 1 hour, 16 minutes, and 5 seconds, a record nobody has been able to beat. Now, here's a weird Royal Rumble record. There's only one person who has entered the same Rumble match 3 times. During the 1998 Royal Rumble,
Mick Foley.
Mick Foley entered as number 1 under his Cactus Jack persona. After spending almost 10 minutes in the match though, Jack was eliminated. However, Mick Foley got a second chance when he re-entered the match at number 16 as Mankind. However, Mankind also got eliminated, but Foley wasn't done yet.
Dude Love.
The 8th entrant, Mrs. Foley's baby boy, entered as Dude
You know
Love.
what, guys? I love this so much when it happened, man. And I feel like, and I'm not trying to like talk down on the IWC or the wrestling fans nowadays. I feel like if someone pulled this off today, I don't know if they would have appreciated this as much as we did back then. Like I can't even think of a person who could come out 3 times with 3 different characters. Like right now, like if you guys could think of a person that like in recent memory that had 3 different gimmicks that can come out with it, maybe Seth Rollins can come out as the Visionary, as the Monday Night Messiah, as like, the differences in those type of gimmicks aren't extreme enough as a Dude Love, Cactus Jack, and Mankind to for it to be entertaining. It would just feel like Seth Rollins came out 3 times. That's how I feel in my personal opinion. But I thought this was really dope.
Unfortunately, the 3rd time was not the charm, and Foley once again went over the top rope. Mick couldn't escape elimination, but this wrestler went for years without taking an L. Now, WWE will tell you that Andre the Giant had the longest undefeated streak, and Hulk Hogan will tell you that he had the longest undefeated streak. But
of course
neither
he
of
would.
these are true. So, who actually had the longest undefeated streak in WWE? From her debut on October 7, 2015 until WrestleMania 24 on April 8, 2018, Asuka was completely undefeated. The Empress of Tomorrow went 914 days without losing and won 277 matches. It's safe to say that Asuka is WWE's biggest winner, so who is the biggest loser? Well, from November 9th, 2016 until April 7th, 2019, Kurt Hawkins lost every match he had. It wasn't until Hawkins...
It was crazy because they had this man with, what do you call those, tally marks all over his pants of how many times he lost. They made that a gimmick, bro. Him losing all the time. I remember Face the Facts. That's messed up, man. That was crazy. I was kind of hoping for him to win, but I don't think it never happened from what I remember.
Tag team partner Zack Ryder won the Raw Tag Team Championship WrestleMania 35 that Hawkins...
as a solo competitor.
Got a W. This gave Kurt Hawkins a losing streak of 269 matches, and that lasted 879 days.
That's
we all
crazy.
Know WWE, though,
that's the
not
ultimate
just
jobber,
about
man.
Winning, but winning gold. And John Cena has won a lot of it. The leader of the C Nation has won 17 world championships, but someone else holds the title for most championship wins. From the time when the 24/7 championship was introduced in 2019,
R-Truth?
literally thrown away in 2022. R-Truth won that title an impressive 54 times. This means Truth has the most championship wins of any wrestler in the world. Now, imagine holding not
That is
one,
true.
but 2 WWE records before hitting puberty. This kid can say that. You see, in 2018, Braun Strowman became the #1 contender for the Raw Tag Team Championship. The only problem was, Braun didn't have a partner. Like a school essay, Strowman waited until the last minute to find someone to tag with. He asked the crowd who wanted to team with him, and he ended up picking a 10-year-old kid named Nicholas. Despite having zero wrestling experience, Nick and Braun won the match. This made Nicholas not only the youngest person to win a WWE match, but he also became the youngest champion in WWE history.
I remember that, man. That kid will never forget that. I love when they do stuff like this for kids.
On the other side of the age spectrum,
or when they did it. I mean, they don't do this all the time.
Oldest person to ever wrestle a WWE match. In 2010, WWE hosted a special old school edition of Monday Night Raw that featured a number of wrestlers from WWE's past. Mae Young was one of the legends in attendance, and at 87 years old, she fought Layla and Michelle McCool in a no disqualification match. With a bit of help, Mae Young was able to win and set the record for the oldest person to compete in a WWE match. Now,
Mae Young back in the day, as far as in the ring, she was getting destroyed. I don't know how she was able to take those bumps at that age.
Record for the world's tallest wrestler. I guarantee it's someone you do not know.
I don't know, man. She RIP to Mae Young, but she definitely had to be a mutant or something. Like the X-Men had to be looking for her, because there's no way at that age that she was able to take a power bomb from Bubba Ray Dudley through a table off. Like, the stuff that was happening to her was crazy. It was crazy. Like, if I saw my grandma going through the table, bro, I would jump over the barricade. That was nuts. But anyway, these are all very interesting facts of stuff that can't be broken. I mean, R-Truth, considering accolades, because he be considered the greatest of all time when it comes to, as far as belts winning and stuff like that. Of course not, but what I'm saying, it's just something to think about. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Salute, peace, have a great day.